today joined by Miss Kubler-Ross. We will be interviewing her and finding out what she has to say about the dying process. Okay, so first, why did you write this text?
I wrote this text because I was interested in the psychological aspects that occurred during the dying process. I'm the first researcher to try to grasp this concept of what goes on in people's minds while they're dying. I really think this is because people are afraid of death, but instead of being afraid, I want to help others understand the psychological process so that coping with death is easier.
Wow. Okay, my second question. What insight did you bring to the study of lifespan development?
I focused on the later years of a person's life, death. Through my research, I gave insight to individuals on the stages of dying that they will encounter. This, therefore, gives insight on how to accept dying and make it a more understandable experience.
Wow. Okay, the third question I have for you is how did you organize your study and why did you choose this format?
I conducted an interview of 200 dying patients of all ages that were all diagnosed with cancer. I asked them questions on their feelings of death. I chose this format because I wanted to get knowledge firsthand from people who were in the process of dying. It was very interesting to hear their feelings on death and from my conclusions from there.
Wow, that's really interesting. Okay, and my fourth question is what do you think are the 5 main stages of dying?
I believe that the 5 stages are, first, denial. A person refuses to believe that death is soon approaching. Second, anger. The person now accepts the situation, but it angers them that other people will continue to live their lives. 3, bargaining. The person tries to buy time in an attempt to cope with death. 4, depression. As time is running out, the person succumbs to the reality of death. 5, acceptance. The person finally submits to their fate and accepts their death. Although the time frame of these stages differs from person to person, I believe that everyone goes through all 5 stages while they are dying.
Wow. Okay, and why do you think America is afraid of death?
Americans have a great problem coping with death. Other countries and other cultures don't, such as the Alaskan Indians who begin preparing for death at an early age. The American culture is death-denying, which means we try to hide our signs of aging and shelter children from knowledge of death and dying. As a whole, America is unaccepting of death and fears that unavoidable reality.
And what are the best counter-arguments about or against your thesis?
Most of the counter-arguments are against the way in which I conducted my experiment. People disliked that I had a relatively small sample of people and that there's little information as to how they were selected and how often I interviewed them. In addition, I interviewed patients that were all suffering from cancer. People wonder if these stages apply only to people with cancer or if they apply to people dying of other causes. Finally, many people question the universality of my stages because although death is universal, the reactions of dying may be different from across countries and cultures.
Wow. Okay, well, thank you so much for letting me interview you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Okay.